This is really, really exciting. I'm so, so, so pleased that she's agreed to come and talk to us this afternoon. We are talking a pop star, an amazing singer and vocalist, songwriter who has sold...
Can I stop you there? Not
no,
just
you
pop
can't.
star.
No, you can't
pop
stop me.
legend, okay?
Pop
Pop
legend.
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 I mean, 2012 Olympics, it was all about the gold rush and this next person, let me tell you. Opening ceremony, closing ceremony, it was all about it. Read all about it.
Next to Me, Read All About It, and many, many more songs. Please welcome, we're going to need the biggest cheer now. Please welcome back to the stage for an exclusive conversation, Attitude Magazine's Cliff Joannou and Emeli Sandé!
Hello.
Hello.
So Emeli Sandé,
Hi there.
winner of 2 Brit Awards, the Brit Awards Critics' Choice Award winner, the #1 selling album of 2012 with your debut, and opening and closing London Olympics.
Yeah.
Since release, 2 other top 10 albums, tremendous career, and a prolific songwriter. And last week made a huge decision to discuss your private life. What are you feeling right now, sitting here in this room?
It feels great. You know, it feels like probably the first interview I've done, just fully being myself and fully just, my first kind of honest interview. It feels lovely to be here. It's a fantastic energy. So, yeah, it feels fantastic.
So a week since coming out, what has surprised you most?
Just kind of the response. It's been so full of love and feel really welcomed by the community, which I didn't expect. You know, it wasn't really planned to do it. I just want to speak about being in love. And I wasn't expecting so much kind of acceptance and warmth. So thankful for that.
Did you have any worries about coming out publicly?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was a big thing for me, but I'm quite happy that it happened naturally. You know, my girlfriend was sat right beside me and next to me during an interview, and then that's kind of just how it all came out. So, yeah.
Because you said in the Metro last week that you didn't know how to define your sexuality. Do you feel a pressure to define it?
A little bit. I mean, even on the interview, as soon as I said, "Oh, I'm in love with Joanna," he was like, "So what does that make you?" And I hadn't really thought about it. I was just enjoying being in love. So, you know, I just feel that I can fall in love with anybody at any time. And right now I'm in love with Joanna, and that's it for life.
I guess it's a journey for you as well, and you're having to step outside into the open, speak publicly, and also find your own way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's usually you could kind of just do it, you know, first speak to my family, but to do it on a worldwide scale is quite a lot. You know, my father's Zambian, so there's definitely a worry about how the African community may see it, but I had to kind of just be myself. It's been quite a few years of struggling with that, so yeah, it feels nice to be myself.
I mean, you said when we spoke prior to the interview, and you just mentioned now as well, that this is all new to you. So how new is new?
It's all new, as in like being out and being proud. That's new to me. But I don't know. I've always felt that I've never had rules of who I fall in love with, and I've always been so much support from the community. So it's not something that feels like my life has changed that much. It's just about who knows about it and just feeling open. That's the new part.
Because you've always been quite, you know, you're not an artist that chases celebrity.
No, yeah.
So it must have been quite a step for you to be so unguarded about yourself in that respect.
Yeah, you know, I just want to put out music and I want it to touch whoever it can do. I never wanted to be defined as anything necessarily, whether that be, you know, I don't want to be, oh, she's good for a woman, or she's good for a black woman, or she's good for a gay black woman. I just want to be a person that's making music. So, yeah, in that sense, it's quite weird having to define it, but yeah, it feels nice.
I guess that's one of the challenges, isn't it, when we have intersectional identities, that we can sometimes not feel enough of one to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think we should have to really define ourselves that much, but it's the society we're in, and I think it's important to be proud of who you are, and if you have a platform to kind of use that and show that pride.
So when did you first realize you had feelings for women?
Yeah, like probably from childhood, really. But it was always, I'd been with men as well, so it wasn't necessarily exclusive. But I've always felt like I'll follow my heart regardless of what that is. And yeah, I've just always had different feelings for men and women.
Did those feelings ever feel alien or wrong to you?
Yeah, because I didn't think my parents really knew how to accept it or what it was, and we weren't really in a kind of open society, let's say in the 80s or 90s. So for me, it was just, they were just like, oh God, she's obsessed with Britney, or she's obsessed with this person, that one. But looking back, I probably had a major crush on them, yeah.
So how did you process those early thoughts? Did they come with an element of shame, or?
Yeah, I guess so. It definitely felt like something I shouldn't share. And, like I said, my dad being from Zambia, it wasn't something that's really openly spoken about there. So for me, it was like, okay, I need to keep my parents happy or my family proud of me. So in that sense, I guess I kind of had to live a different kind of life that would keep them happy, or at least, but I didn't really understand it myself. It was just all a bit confusing for me, and there wasn't anybody necessarily coming to me to help me with it or felt that they could speak openly. Maybe they felt because I wasn't ready to at that point. So yeah, it's been a big journey of like self-discovery, really.
I guess role models and representation, especially of queer women and also black queer women, wasn't so prevalent, just even 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, definitely coming into industry. And for me, because I'd grown up surrounded, in a white community, my first issue was, how can I find my community? How can I find what it means to be black, And when I came to London, that was the first thing on my mind. So, maybe that's another reason why I felt like this other side of me, which is just as much part of me, I kind of have to put to the side for now, because I was longing to feel included in that community. But now, yeah, here I am. I can be a bit of everything,
Yeah, it is. I guess because you were very much engaged with the queer community before you were publicly out. You'd attended Prides, you'd performed.
Yeah.
So, what were your feelings when you were at Pride that you couldn't necessarily be open and honest about who you were during those times?
Yeah, it was difficult. I would definitely, I was so inspired by everybody who was, seeing everybody embrace it, and, their pride really inspired me. And it felt liberating for me, but it also felt like, wow, these are people living their true life and braver than I am right now. So I've always felt, inspired by the pride.
Yeah, I remember when I was, I'm very old. It was like 1998, and I was driving past Clapham Common with my family, and I was in the back of the car as a young kid, and Gay Pride was on Clapham Common, which was up the road from where we grew up. And I remember driving past Clapham Common, and it was full. I think Beverly Knight was headlining actually that year, and it was just full of like out queer people. And I just looked out the window and I felt, I'll never be able to be part of that.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't see at that time and how I would be able to be open about my sexuality, because I grew up in Croydon, a Greek family, very orthodox, very religious family.
Yeah.
So I just never ever could see myself being in that place, and look at me now.
Yeah.
It's funny how that can change. So
Yeah.
it must have been quite a lonely experience for you at times.
Yeah, in a sense, and it always felt like everybody knew, or it was a weird one, and until I really fell in love and kind of felt secure in that love and secure in that relationship, it did feel like it's just me against the world, because I don't fully understand this. Is my family going to accept it? All of these things that go through your head, and sometimes you overdo it. You just overthink, and you have to let that go. And for me, as a musician, I wanted to connect with as many people as possible. So it was less important for me to have to be, this is who I am. It was more about doing a duty as a musician, I saw it. But now I realize, unless you're true about yourself, you can't truly connect with your fans. You can't really, because, they see you on stage, but then they don't know what the rest of your life is like. And I think, especially in this day and age, you have to be honest about who you are, and, hopefully inspire people to go through their own journey of truth.
And I guess it allows you to be authentic in your art as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because now, when you tell a story through song,
Yeah, exactly.
does it feel more honest? Does it reflect in this new album?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of love songs on it, but I think that just comes from being in love. And I've always wrote music about my truth or my true emotions, but now I feel like I can be more honest about where the songs are coming from and where those emotions came from in the first place.
You talk about your partner and as somebody that's really influential to helping you on your journey. When did you meet? Like what's the timeline of your relationship?
About like a year ago, like last summer, is when we really started having more feelings for one another and kind of diving into it. And it's been, there's no better feeling than falling in love and to feel like, okay, whatever I do, whether I'm a singer or, I don't know, something completely different, I'll still feel loved. It feels nice to have that support there.
Does it is there a bittersweetness to it? Do you really think to yourself, did you hold back before from falling in love? Or
I guess so. I didn't want to get hurt, and I always felt like, okay, I'm good. Yeah, I always felt, let's just put the job there and let's be a workaholic. And it was quite good to always have something to do because you're distracted from real life. But then I guess during the pandemic and lockdown, that's when I had to really look at myself in the mirror and be like, well, who are you? And you don't have a job anymore. You can't go on stage. You can't really do anything. So I think having that time to really face myself was a big factor in all of this.
yeah, because you strip away those distractions and you're just faced with your own head and thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where did you go to for help? Did you seek any assistance or like advice or guidance?
Yeah, sometimes, I went to see a counselor once, but, a lot of people have religious views, like you were saying, and they were like, no, that's not the issue. You just need to do this, that, and the other and change yourself. And so that wasn't very helpful, but eventually you find people that can help. And yeah, I have a lot of gay friends, so they help going to see them. And it was and my sister's been amazing. She's like, well, just do it step by step. There's no pressure. Tell mom and dad, then just step by step. Get comfortable about it before having to share everything with the world. But now it just feels, it feels nice.
The weight off your shoulders.
Exactly, yeah.
What was that moment like when you told your sister? When did that happen and how did you feel?
I think she's probably always known. She's like, okay, yeah, whatever. But no, she's cool. She's just very open-minded, she's a spiritual person. So she's just like, just make sure you're happy and just go at your own pace. There's no rush. Yeah.
And how was the conversation with your parents? When did that happen?
They were okay. I mean, my mum was cool. My dad was fine. It's just, they've always known I'm always going to do what I want. And whichever plan I have, I usually go for it. Even coming to London was a big move. So, and I think they always knew. When I look back at old pictures of myself, I think it was kind of obvious. But they were fine. They were okay.
I mean, sometimes you're just affirming what they knew, but nobody wanted to vocalize. That's how I found it was when I came out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like just underscoring. I was like, well, you did know though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. With in your new video as well, you cast queer women as dancers, and it was so beautiful when I watched it as well.
Thank you.
Where did that decision come from, and why was that taken?
That was a discussion with the director, and we're just like, we want to be super inclusive, color, gender, any identity. And that video for me, it's just at that point I was like, I am who I am. I never really felt I had to make any big announcement about it, and but through the music and through the art, I guess people could see.
I guess as well, it's like you said, you can now put into practice. You can put more of yourself into the work that you do.
Yeah, and just relax a bit more about everything. And I think just being more relaxed will create better work.
So had you decided to come out when you started working on your new music now, or was that something that came later?
To be honest, I don't even feel like I made the decision. I always have to be honest in everything I do and say, and I was asked, well, who are you in love with? And I'm in love with Joanna, so that just came out. So I don't think I necessarily made a decision. I just thought on this project, if I'm asked, I want to be super authentic and real about everything.
What was it like to look at the LGBTQ community from the outside? Like you said, this is all very new for you. How did it feel when you saw a community of people? Because obviously there's so much noise. At the moment, trans people are under attack, people are fighting for same-sex marriage rights. Did that scare you into not coming out a little bit?
A little bit. I mean, it definitely felt like, there's certain places I can't go anymore, and that's within a week. Places I may have gone to before, now I know that I just can't. But it's better, being authentically myself. So from the outside, I thought, okay, cool, that may present more of a challenging life. But for me, I think people can, as humans, we can tell with others. I think it's instinct. So you may as well tell the truth, because I think it's the truth is obvious anyway.
So gospel's been a very important part of your music. It's very present from the beginning. And where does that influence come from?
I grew up listening to a lot of gospel music, and being quite a spiritual person, I read the Bible a lot when I was younger, and then I had different friends from different religions, so it's always been fascinating to me, where do we go after this, and what type of code should we be living by. But definitely as I've gotten older, I've tried to expand that thinking, because, again, with the Bible, there's not full acceptance. As a woman, as a gay woman, it's very difficult. So, now I just have a whole different view of the universe and my place in it.
Did you have a religious family and upbringing then?
On my dad's side, they're quite religious, quite Christian. And my mum's side, actually, Catholic. But my parents, not so much. Yeah.
Okay. And you talked about faith in the past as well. How did you align that faith? What was that faith that you've talked about in the past?
Just faith in a higher power and faith in love, we've kind of made that word a bit cheesy now, but it's true, it can change things, and it can change your whole life. Love, and everybody deserves love. So that's what I live by, and that's what I try to produce through my music. I try and get the ego out of the way and let the music kind of breathe.
So do you see it as more as a spiritual faith as opposed to a faith confined to a specific religion?
Now, yeah, for sure. I mean, even before the past couple of years, I've just always tried to research as much as I can and find where things have been tweaked, where things have been, changed by man. Well, I just want to know the true, original truth.
It's interesting what you said about religion before, because obviously the LGBTQ people are everywhere.
Yeah.
As a community, we are in every religion and culture and race. There are LGBTQ plus Muslims, LGBTQ plus Christians, and a lot of people struggle, some people don't struggle. They do very well of balancing their faith and understanding the way those words are written in context of the past, and actually, or misinterpreted in the present. Have you looked at the Bible in a different way, or is it something that doesn't resonate with you so much anymore?
No, it's definitely something I'll still read and still take in, because I think it's more of it helps me morally. It definitely helps to kind of live my life through love. That's how I take it on. But it's just a different relationship, one with myself now. Everything I read, everything I look at, I just try and, instead of waiting for other people to give me that inclusion, I just take what I feel I can from it.
I guess, because my parents being Christian again, I had a moment where I was unpicking the Bible. I was like, well, what do you actually see in that? And if you look at something like Jesus' teachings, for example, there's not a homophobic word spoken in them.
Yeah.
It's all about loving your fellow man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the misinterpretation of other things and stories which are conflicting, and you have to stone this person after 30 days of them doing this or whatever.
Yeah.
That it does all get tangled up. But when you look at the purity of something, I wouldn't consider myself a Christian, but I look at the teachings of someone like Jesus. He never said anything bad about me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's different. I haven't studied it properly, but I do feel that, it's just whoever you choose to love, just make sure it's pure love. Make sure it's not selfish. It's it's hard to define love, but I think we all know when it is, whether it's for the same sex or for different. Love is something that needs to be, pure and reflected on all the time, to make sure you're actually giving something that's real.
Did you get any pressure from record labels or previous management not to come out?
In a way, no. It was never said directly to me, but it was definitely something that I felt people they wanted to avoid, coming out. Maybe they were afraid of how it would affect things. I'm not sure. But nobody ever directly said to me, don't do it. But it was... a
feeling.
It was a feeling, yeah, for sure. So now I'm just like, cool. Whatever comes, if people choose not to listen to my music, hopefully they won't. But, I have to be true. That just has to be rule number one, yeah.
So what did management say when you told them, I'm making this decision?
They were cool, actually. I mean, this is brand new management for me. I've only been with them for about 18 months. and they were really supportive. They were like, you know, you can't live a lie, just be yourself. We love you. Everyone's that is supposed to go on this journey with you will come with you, and they made me feel really relaxed about it, a lot more liberated, for sure.
Do you have any regrets at all from the past 10 years?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I wish I would have maybe done this sooner, because it does feel really good, and I think that people could see I was going through a lot, you know, depression and this and that, and I think maybe I wasted too much time in that low energy. So I wish I was kind of up in myself a lot sooner. But, you know, it's all a process, and I don't think I could have done it back then. Now it just feels like a different situation. I have a different team, and I feel a lot more liberated.
Yeah, it's funny because I've had this conversation with people in the past as well, and they're like, oh, I have no regrets. I'm like, well, I do, because regrets are the things that make me not make the same mistake again.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you've got to be aware.
And they help you drive you forward.
Yeah.
Are you still in touch with, obviously you were married for 10 years, so were those, are you still in touch with your ex-husband? Have you spoken about the situation?
No, not at all. But, you know, we were fantastic. You know, we've been together since we were 17. We were great friends more than anything. And, you know, he's a great guy. And I kind of, you know, now and again he'll update me what he's up to. And he's just doing amazing things. So I'm really happy for him. And I hope he's happy for me as well.
Was it difficult for that relationship to come to an end again in the public eye so soon after immediate success?
Yeah, it was difficult because I've always been quite a shy person. So to do anything and be, apart from music, I find it quite hard to talk about anything, you know, regardless of the topic. So it was difficult to kind of go through something that was deemed, you know, a failure of something. I didn't like that. And also just, I want to be super respectful to him because, you know, he's done nothing wrong. So yeah, it's hard to have your personal life out there, but at the same time you have to be real. Everyone's going through something, you know.
I guess as somebody in the public eye, any misstep that we take that feels like a failure is amplified so much more, and then suddenly it just feels like the weight of the world again crashing down on us.
And you overthink it. You know, today's news is over tomorrow, so it's not as big as you think. But in your head, you think everybody's talking about it, but it's probably not the case.
It comes to a point where you just have to stop worrying about what other people are saying.
Yeah, stop going on the internet.
So how do you balance your mental health? Because that's something that we talk about a lot in this space at Student Pride. We talk a lot about it in Attitude magazine because it's so much more of a prevalent subject for LGBTQ plus people, because obviously we live in a world that either tries to quieten us down or tries to oppress us or legally tries to quietly stop us living our lives and loving people in some cases. So we come into the world, you know, pure and full of love, and then the world tells us to quieten ourselves down and gives us shame. How do you still carry a sense of shame that resonated from when you were younger?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, mental health, now kind of trying to understand my journey on a deeper level, it's definitely helping me with that. But I try and be around my family. I try and limit my time online too much. And but yeah, I guess now it begins a whole new journey for me. But I feel a lot happier for sure. And I'm getting there.
So the music industry is obviously quite a difficult place to be, especially when your art is scrutinized so much. How do you negotiate that path of like being somebody that is now publicly out? Like how have you always managed that when, you know, the reviews come in for albums and the nervousness around it all?
These days, I mean, really this whole pandemic time has changed my mind frame and everything. When your whole world has changed and stopped, it's made me realize I have control over nothing but the process of making the music and when I'm on stage. So as long as I can give 100% and give my best and give music which means something to me, that's all I can do. You know, people are going to review it differently. They might like the music but not like you, or there's so many different reasons people hear things differently and have those perspectives, and I can't change that. So I feel like I've just kind of let go of controlling everything. I'm just like, you know what, it is what it is. I get to do the job I love. I get to hopefully help people with my music, and what more can I ask for?
You've mentioned the pandemic a couple of times. At its worst, how did that impact you?
just feeling like you don't have much of a purpose. That was quite hard to kind of swallow there. Not knowing, will I be on stage again? Can I do what I've trained my whole life to do? And feeling like it's not really a necessity. Arts were kind of put on the back. So getting over that and kind of realizing actually there is a purpose in what I'm doing, and this is the way I want to do it. This is the way I want to communicate with people. That kept me going. And having an album to work on was like a savior. Having something to focus on, put all my emotions in there, and that was really helped me through it all.
And what were the lessons that came out of that? Like, what do you, when you went through that process of reevaluating your life, is there one or two lessons that really stood out for you?
Just that I need to stop being, I could be very impatient because you're always, you're going, what's next, what's that, how do we do that? But unless you actually take time to stop and get better at what you do, you're never going to be that proud of yourself because you're not giving your 100% best. So I think the biggest lesson was like slow down, improve, reflect. That's time well spent as well. You don't have to always be racing around.
Did you get any advice from anybody in the industry, any queer people within the industry? About coming out and being...
Not really. Like a few people text and said, well done, congratulations, all of that. But not really, no. I mean, I don't go out very much. No. I don't know that many people, so yeah. So what advice would you give a 20-year-old Emeli Sandé? I'd just say, chill out. Like it's not... You overthink things a bit, so just chill out, slow down, and be yourself. You'll still be loved for who you are, and don't get too caught up in thinking otherwise.
And what advice would you give to another person sitting in this room who's maybe questioning their sexuality?
Again, like try not to overthink it. Like all of these rules in society have been put on us by other people. Like you define who you are, you define your destiny, and you know what the truth is. So let it out, let that lead.
Do you feel in a way, obviously you talked about being in love now. Tell us about your partner in terms of, I don't know, you don't want to reveal too much about them, but just how they opened your eyes to yourself in those early days, because it must have been hard for you to let go.
Yeah, I mean, she's here today, and she's an incredible musician, and she's always been very confident in who she is. So having somebody so confident in who they are, not caring about what other people think, that was so inspiring for me. And for her to see me and love me and know how to be very sensitive about it and help me on my journey, I owe so much to her. Yeah.
Was it scary when you met her? I guess when you met her, you didn't know you were going to fall in love with her.
Yeah.
But was it scary when you first realized, oh, I'm actually really attracted to this person and this is a different type of feeling?
It wasn't so much. It just felt natural. It just felt like, wow, this is the first time I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about pleasing anybody else. This is the first time I truly feel like myself, accepted for myself. It's the first time I really felt seen by somebody on a very deep level. And, it was amazing. We had music bringing us together, and just, her musical skills are absolutely mind-blowing. So it was kind of just this big whirlwind, and it was, fantastic.
Was there a little bit of you that wanted to hold back and perhaps not enter that area of those feelings and not have those emotions?
No, it was all flowed really naturally. At first I was super shy just because I admired her so much. I was like, okay, I could barely say any words to her. And then slowly, I relaxed, and we just got to know each other beyond the music. And just as a person, she's incredibly selfless, what she gives to others. And for me, like falling in love that hard was just, it felt like the most natural thing that's ever happened in my life. So I knew it wasn't wrong because it was pure love, really.
Must be. So, did you find it scary at all, though, or
scary?
Just, yeah.
No.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible that you managed to take that step.
Yeah.
So now sitting here in this space, in this environment, having shared what you've just shared and how you feel, how do you feel now?
How do I feel now?
Yeah, like half an hour after speaking and sharing and talking about this situation.
It feels good. It feels, it's all just the truth. So I don't feel like it just feels nice to have this conversation with you, to feel so welcomed here, and to feel the love in the room is beautiful, and to feel like myself, for the first time publicly feels fantastic, and yeah, hopefully it's interesting.
You've said you've had obviously like queer people and gay friends in your life for a long time. What advice did they give you?
Not really advice. It was just their acceptance that meant the world. Like going and we had dinner with a few people and just seeing them live their truth, living free. It was never really an issue. We didn't really speak about it much. It's just like, okay, cool. Like, and just see they're just the coolest people I know. So I was like, God, I wish I could just live like them, because they're just, they're truly living life instead of just not being on the outskirts.
Were they aware that you had feelings for women as well, or was it?
Yeah, a few of them, but it was never, we didn't want to, we're just friends caring for one another. It was never about defining each other. But yeah, I'm thankful that I've had them as an inspiration as well.
So where would you, so when you see yourself at Pride next, are we going to see you in the parades, walking down with us?
Yeah, probably, it's just going to probably go.
Yeah, just still sat in the corner over there.
Yeah, I mean, I love, I felt so welcomed even in the park the other day.
Yeah.
Like a few people came up to us, and I want to give that, embrace back as well, and just have fun now and enjoy life. And also, I hope through my platform, I can hopefully inspire others that might have gone through the same journey as mine. It's not easy, especially from, certain communities. So I hope in all of this, I can kind of help in some way.
Yeah, it's when you came out, it garnered a lot of media attention. There was like, the Daily Mail was capturing pictures in the Daily Mirror, and it was all over the tabloids. Did that feel a little bit scary suddenly that everyone's taken interest in your personal life?
A little bit. I mean, more so like, is anybody even interested? It's quite a story, like, is anyone actually interested in that? But it was nice to kind of to have that positivity back, because you're never sure what's going to happen if you're in the Sun or the Daily Mirror, things like that. But, the way the story is written, I'm really thankful that it was very respectful. So, now it's done. I feel like now I can just get back
Just
to, being myself and making
It was overwhelmingly positive, which was actually quite lovely to see, because, I'm at double the age and a few years of most of the people in this room, but a coming out story in the noughties and the late 90s was a scoop, and it was a scandal, and it was a bust.
Yeah.
So me personally, I grew up thinking that a coming out story was that.
Yeah.
And it always was a scandal.
Yeah.
And it was something that had to be a shocker.
Yeah.
People were outed.
Yeah.
So was that in your head ever?
A little bit. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, and I think if it would have been planned, maybe things would have gone a different way. But really, I just saw it as like a celebration of being in love. I was like, I'm in love, and I want to shout it from the rooftops. And I think because it came out that way, and it was super positive. So it was a big relief, and it's nice now. I feel like I can finally just move on with my life and not be stuck in the mud about this, that, and the other.
Was any music of the new music specifically written?
We've actually written a song together, a piece of music together called July 25th, which I love. It was our first kind of composition together. And my next song, Ready to Love, was definitely inspired by falling in love. Yeah,
I listened to the album the other day, so there are certain moments I could hear, and I know the songs you're talking about.
Yeah.
So this new song as well that just came out last week, it's quite powerful lyrics as well. Is that grounded in reality in anywhere at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like my career, I'm so lucky for the career I've had and the heights I've been able to see, but it's so true when you don't have your personal life sorted, or you're not in love, or you don't have somebody to share that with, it does kind of like just feel a little bit empty. You're so lonely. You might be at the top, but being lonely, it's like, gosh, you only live once, and I want a full, enriched life. And now it feels like whatever happens, whether I reach those heights again, whether I don't, I'm secure and I'm in love, and anything I do now I can give my full self to.
I guess the loneliest place can be is somebody who's actually a private person.
Yeah.
Because naturally you're a person that just wants to not
be in the basement, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then suddenly you find yourself ultimately alone like that. So where did you go to for company?
I have friends, like a lot of people I'd work with, producers,
Yeah.
and so I'll be friends with a lot of people I make music with, but it's nice to have something completely removed from the industry and somewhere where I can actually just be like myself. Yeah.
So, in 3 words, how do you feel right now? Or one sentence. Give us a sentence to
okay,
how you're
feel-
going to leave today after sharing so much.
Yeah, I feel liberated, I feel welcomed, and I feel renewed. So, yeah.
That's a good place to be, isn't it?
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the LGBTQ community and everybody here, I just want to say welcome to the family.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I think we're up. That's great. Thank you so much, Emeli Sandé.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you for your bravery.
Thank you.